Okay, so right now, you're probably asking yourself, you're probably asking Swift, what's going on? What is this? What's happening? I thought that you were a purveyor of only the finest literary content. I
Okay, so
thought,
right now, whoa, we
you're
got
probably
feedback.
asking yourself,
Oh shit,
you're probably
this is
asking Swift,
disastrous.
what's going on?
Oh god, we've got technical
What is
issues.
this? What's happening?
Okay, we fixed it.
Christ. Alright, we doubled up. That was not part of the plan, but we're gonna roll with it. I think we're working now. We had two Swifts in the same room. But it's okay. We've got a handle on it. Alright, it's working. Cause the point is, that, oh god, yes. As I was saying, this might be all a bit unexpected. But here's the thing. Animorphs, this 90s children's series about kids who turned into animals, there's some serious shit going on in here, guys. There is some serious literary analysis to be done about this particular series because it's got it all. It's got pathos. It's got character development. It's got magical forces threatening to overtake the world. And it's got children who can turn into tigers and attack aliens. It's got everything you could possibly ask for in a series, and the parallels to Game of Thrones are all over the place. If you're into Game of Thrones, if you're into young protagonists, implausibly young protagonists, gaining a range of powers, supernatural and political, and fighting for the protection of the realm against varied forces, this is the series for you. So this is what we gotta. You're gonna enjoy this, all right? Animorphs, Book 1. Chapter 1, beginning now. So we begin with the protagonist, our stalwart protagonist, introducing himself as Jake. And Jake speaks to us, the audience, speaking directly to us, and tells him that his name is Jake. But he can't tell us his last name because it would be too dangerous. So third sentence, and we've already got the threat, right? We got danger. We got some kind of a propulsion, motivation behind this story already. We got a hook. We're grabbed by the scruff of our shirt because there is danger in this series, and Jake is speaking to us. And the danger, Jake tells us, is that the controllers are everywhere. Shit, mate. What's a controller? What's so dangerous about a controller? What do they do? Will they control me? This is a problem. I want to know more. So we keep reading. So we're told that if, terrible things could happen if the controllers find Jake, they do things to people who resist them. Horrible things. Things too horrible to think about. So some ghastly, awful thing happens to people who the controllers find, and we don't even know what the controllers are yet, but we know that there's danger. We know that there's something big going on, and we've got to find out more. There's mystery, all in the first paragraph, and then the next paragraph, Jake won't tell us where he lives, but he tells us that Jake lives in a real place, a real town, maybe even in your town. Guys, holy shit, guys. Did you hear that? Did you hear that smashing sound? You know what that was? That was the fourth wall getting fucking obliterated, mate. The fourth wall just got smashed the fuck down. The fourth wall is broken. Jake is talking directly to us, the reader, and telling us that your shitty town, yes, your shitty town, is where this story is happening. We are not only witnessing a story take place, we are not merely an audience. We are a part of the story. This is reality. There is danger, there is excitement, there is adventure, and we are a part of it. All on the first page. thrilling, adventure, writing. This is why it's great. Yes, George R. R. Martin does not have the balls to write literature of this caliber. George Martin wishes he could write like Animorphs, like K.A. Applegate. That can't possibly be a real name, does it? Apparently there is a real K.A. Applegate. She just uses Ghost Riders and things. But let's not lose the momentum because, guys, we're part of the adventure. So we're told that Jake is writing all this down so that people will learn the truth, right? So we've got like a metatextual narrative going on here. So Jake is addressing us. Jake has written down this story, the saga of the Animorphs, in order to warn us about the threat of the controllers and the danger, and hopefully that we will learn the truth. And then, maybe then, somehow, the human race can survive. So holy shit, this danger, this is not just horrible things that's going to be done by the controllers. This is a world-ending threat, a catastrophe on a global scale, threatening, and only the Animorphs can stop it. They need to keep the human race alive until the Andalites return. The Andalites? Who are the Andalites? Of course, there's Game of Thrones connections in spades here, because the Andals are an ethnic group in Game of Thrones. Could these Andals be the invading ethnic group to Earth, just like they were the invading group to Westeros in Game of Thrones? Probably not. But maybe there's a connection. The evidence is piling on that George Martin plagiarized Game of Thrones from Animorphs. I mean, you've got children taking control of animals, you've got young protagonists fighting mystical forces. Seems to me like George Martin took a page or two out of the Animorphs book, but let's continue. So the Andalites promise to return and save the world. Damn. Who are the Andalites? We don't know yet. But after we've established all this danger, all this drama, all this propulsion behind the energy of the story, all on the first page, we are then told that Jake's life used to be pretty normal. He was just a regular guy. He was having a Friday night at the mall. He's an American. He's an all-American teenager. He was hanging out at the mall. He was playing video games. He was hanging out at this cool store. It sells stuff and comic books. The usual. Hashtag teen life. Hashtag Merca. Hashtag fellow kids. Relatable, right? So this is what's happening on this second page. We've established that all of this danger, all of this magical, wastical, mystical shit's going on. Well, we're also learning that Jake, he's just like us. We can relate to this all-American teenager, right? He's one of us, right? So not only is all this crazy shit happening, but we are like Jake. We like Jake. We want Jake to succeed. And so the trials that he faces soon will be all the more dramatically impactful. Then we're introduced to Jake's friend Marco. All right, we got Jake, we got Marco, and they've been doing the quarters in the arcade machines back in the olden days when video games weren't some Candy Crush cancer on your fucking iPhone. Games used to be something that you operated with physical cash dollary dues down into the hardware slot, you know? You could count the pixels back in those days. The box art looked considerably better than the video game itself. Those were the real days of video games. But they're in the arcade and they're playing these games, and we learn that Jake's alright at video games. He was ahead by a lot of points, but Marco won because Marco has this amazing ability to analyze video games and figure out what's going on. Sounds to me like some kind of a special skill. Sounds to me like something that might come in handy later on in the story. It's almost as though each character has some sort of like specialized skill, which means that through cooperation and appreciation of their diverse skill sets, our plucky protagonists might just survive to fight the evil magic enemy of the Yerks. That's what it sounds like to me. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So Marco and Jake are hanging out at the mall, and Jake lost the video game because, well, he wasn't concentrating very well because he had a bad day at school. He didn't make the basketball team. He tried, but he didn't get into the team. It's no big deal, he tells us, but we can read through the lines. And we can see that Jake actually is feeling really cut up about not getting on the basketball team. This, ladies and gentlemen, is pathos. This is the human heart in pain. This is emotion. This is art, ladies and gentlemen, because Jake is hurting because he didn't get onto the basketball team. He tries to play it off as no big thing, but he wanted to get closer to his brother. Jake has an older brother, Tom, and he hasn't been hanging out with Tom so much lately. They seem to have drifted apart. The relationship, the fraternity is drifting apart, and he was hoping to join the team to get closer to Tom, but he failed, and he's sad. Pathos. So anyway, they ran out of money, and they left. They left the mall, they left the video game place, and they ran into a third character, Tobias. Ooh, what an enigmatic name. Tobias. That's a sexy name. What strange, dark anti-hero have we encountered upon this day, walking upon this third page? Tobias. A strange guy, we're told. Not a tough one. He got picked on a lot. But hey, we can tell that this individual is a rogue element. He's an outsider. He's got some sort of connections that others do not. Tobias. What is in his future? We get some backstory about Tobias. We're told that Jake first met Tobias when Tobias had his head in a toilet. He was receiving a good old-fashioned swirly, is what they called him back in my day. A swirly, when you dangled one of the weaker and more pallid kids from their ankles and gave them the old taste of the old bowl. Licking the mixing bowl is what we called it. The mixing bowl. That's where you'd put the dweeby kid's head and then you'd flush. It's actually not dissimilar to waterboarding. Cruel and unusual, but we just call it expedited interrogation. What do they call it? Enhanced interrogation. That's what we called a swirly back in my day. But that was what was happening to Tobias. Hashtag relatable. And so Tobias is walking along with Marco and Jake, and then Marco throws some shade on Jake for his poor video game performance. We're told that, well, we would have been winning the video game if only Jake had remembered that the sleaze troll attacks after you cross the Nether Fjord in the game. Which, by the way, sounds like the most fucking incredible 90s arcade video game. The sleaze troll and the Nether Fjord. Is this like some kind of, like, Icelandic themed video game, like some Northern European, Scandinavian, like you're fighting trolls on fjords? That sounds fucking thrilling. There's a real untapped market in Northern European video games, I think. I would love to play Sleaze Troll 64 5000. That sounds amazing. But anyway, they're chatting with Tobias, and then Tobias says, so, like, hashtag awkward, maybe I'll walk home with you guys? Can I walk home with you guys, please? Can we hang out? It'll be cool, guys. Is what Tobias says, and then they're like, all right. Tobias has joined your party. They're walking. There are three: Tobias, Jake, and Tobias, Jake, and Marco. And now you might be detecting, you might be feeling like this is, a little bit of a sausage fest. Is what you might be feeling at this particular point. We got three blokes. What kind of representation is that? They all sound like white blokes as well. I mean, Marco sounds potentially ethnic. I'd give that a 40% ethnicity potentiality. That's something. But mate, we need some diversity here. So right on time, on the third page, we get an injection of gender diversity, ladies and gentlemen, with the appearance of Rachel and Cassie. We got some fucking gender balance up in this shit. Well, not quite. It's 3 against 2. But whatever. We got an improved situation on the diversity point. And Rachel and Cassie turns up. But who? Hashtag gender issues, because since we are watching this chapter through the eyes of a male, we've got a bit of that hashtag male gaze in play. And so the immediate response, the immediate description we get of Rachel from the perspective of Jake is that, oh, Rachel is pretty. Oh, okay. She's very pretty. He doesn't use that voice. Jake says that, oh, Rachel is very pretty. I'm a big fan of Rachel. She's a bit of a cutie pie. She's a bit of a 3.141. I kind of like Rachel. And then, holy shit, do you guys want to see a twist? Because this is a twist. Jake has just said that, like, oh, Rachel is really pretty. Twist. It's his cousin. Jake has the hots for his cousin. Jake thinks Rachel is really pretty, but Rachel is his cousin. I told you this story was right like Game of Thrones, didn't I? We got some fucking incestuous forbidden love, man. We got some cousins wanting to go have a bit of teenage humpery. Isn't that exciting? She's the cousin, and then Jake's like, oh well, I don't like her in that way, even though she's so pretty. But Rachel has a very clean, very wholesome look, because man, Jake likes some wholesome. You know what I mean? He likes some nubile and wholesome is Jake's taste. Anyway, so he describes how pretty Rachel is, and Rachel is very graceful because she takes gymnastics. That sounds like another special skill. That sounds like something that might just come in handy. It sounds like each of our protagonists have a specialization, a special skill, which combined together, like in Captain Planet, will result in good outcomes. That's almost as though it sounds like. And so that's Rachel. Anyway, and then there's also Cassie. Cassie's quite different to Rachel. She has shorter hair. She's black. All right, so we do have a bit of ethnic diversity. Cassie is black. And yeah, so we've got all the different flavors of ethnicity. We've got all the different flavors of gender. We've got all the, well, depending on who you ask. But here's our squad, right? We got Tobias, Marco, Jake, Cassie, and Rachel. Now, Cassie, she has short hair. She looks different to Rachel. And she sounds like she's a bit of an empath, right? Because we're told that Cassie, she understands things on a different, more mystical level. Cassie's got some kind of, emotional connection to things. She's the sort of person who knows the difference between a chi and a chakra, She's got our shit aligned, right? She's sensitive to the ebb and flow of human emotion, and that's going to be handy later on. And then, now that we've got our squad assembled, we've got our party together. The boys are in town. The boys and the girls, the group, the squad is together, and they decide, hey, you know what? Let's go through the mysterious construction site. And then we have a brief hashtag gender issues discussion about female weakness, and the men protect them, and then the women are like, we're not weak, and so we have a bit of that. That's great. We also have a reference to Storm from the X-Men. Guys, could this get any more 90s? We've just left the arcade machines, and we're now talking about Storm from the X-Men. It's incredible. And then we have a bit of gender-based banter, and then Cassie diffuses the situation because she always has the right words. We've got a high charisma character. We've got an empath. She's gonna be super handy in the trials and tribulations ahead. And so they're together. They're the squad, and they are 5 just super normal teens, hashtag fellow kids, just heading home after a good old day at the mall. At the mall, all American. And so that, Jake thinks, was the last moment when we were just normal kids. So we're hinting at change here. This is the point of stillness before everything changes. Like Joseph Campbell's story circle, right? The beginning is when you're in a state of normality before you pass through a veil and enter a state of change, right? So The squad, the Animorphs, this is their moment. This is their last moment of stillness. The peace before the storm, the calm before everything changes. Things are about to get scary, we're told. So get your fucking spookers ready, guys, because things are about to get real as they pass through the abandoned construction site. So we're given lots of reasons to be concerned about this construction site. We're told that there might be axe murderers in the construction site. There might be a Jason with a mask. There might be a Jigsaw with a hideously overcomplicated trap to trap us in. There could be some kind of serious danger here on page 6. And so they head into the abandoned construction site. It's surrounded by trees. It's isolated. It's dark. It sounds suspiciously like the prologue of a Game of Thrones, confirming further that George Martin plagiarized Game of Thrones from Animorphs, because they enter the construction site and it's dark and it's spooky and they go creep. No, that's not very creepy. It's more like that's the soundtrack, alright? So there are pyramids of giant concrete pipes. There's pits of black muddy water. There are creaking, rusted construction cranes. There are strange, dark shadows. There are things in the dark. The night is dark and full of fearful things, friends. So they go through the darkness, and it's totally deserted, and it makes the hair on the back of Jake's neck stand up. There are some spookerinos in the wooderinos, and they are creeping, and then Tobias is looking up. Tobias, the mysterious Tobias, is gazing out in his own world, looking up at the sky, going, oh, what the fuck is that? Tobias points up at the sky on page 7, and he goes, huh? There's something in the sky. And then the squad goes, what and then he says, look, it's the call to adventure. And then above, there's a brilliant blue-white light streaking across the sky, going too fast to be an airplane, and then slowing over the construction site. Everyone goes like, what? Like they all look at each other like, what? Cassie, Marco, right? What the? And then Cassie just blurts it right out. Cassie ends this chapter by doing a bit of a who was the Northman in the last Abridged chapter? Who's the bloke who points out the obvious? What's his name again? Cassie points out the obvious, and she says, ladies and gentlemen, squad, Animorphs, readers, audience, it is a flying saucer. And then the chapter ends. Guys, does that not have it all? Is that not the most exciting, thrilling, literary first chapter you've ever read in a book? It has everything. It has pathos. It has human connection. It has the human heart in conflict with itself, and it has danger. It has a real fire lit under the arse of the plot. There is momentum. There is stuff going on, because who are the controllers? Who are the Andalites? What is this threat that threatens to overwhelm the entire world? What is going on? What is the answer to this mystery? What is the magic? There is adventure. There is shit going on, and none of the children have even transformed into tigers yet. This first chapter is already so exciting, and it hasn't even begun. What a thrilling first chapter to this series, The Animorphs. So I hope you enjoyed this completely out of the blue episode about Animorphs, a series from the 90s about children who turn into bears. It's actually a really fucking gnarly series, by the way. Like, there is some dark-ass shit that happens in here. And some of it's pretty cool. There's even all this, like, background lore. Like, there are, like, these side books and stuff that tell the tales of, like, the alien races. Like, there's some really, like, space opera shit that goes on in the background. There is a lot going on here, guys. So, man, I mean, if you want more, we can do more, all right? If there's demand, there'll be some supply. So tell you what, yeah, all right, a bunch of people are enjoying this, so tell you what, meet you back here in like half an hour, and we'll do another chapter or two, all right? So come back to Ultra X. Do the subscribey things if you like. I think we'll do another chapter in half an hour. All right, so that'll be right tasty. So thank you for participating in this this stream, and see you right back here in half an hour. All right, see ya.